Here at Everyday Food, we're all about creating recipes that are simple and delicious, and if possible, with lots of variations so you can make it however you want. And today's recipe is no exception. It's a cookie recipe that you can vary however you like. Today I'm gonna make chocolate chip version, but I'm gonna share some other great combinations with you in a few minutes after I get started. The first thing you need to do is measure 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of table salt, the fine salt. Whisk it together, and those are your dry ingredients. Make sure you have your oven preheated to 350 degrees, and then you can start the creaming process. I have 2 sticks of unsalted butter here. To that I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup of packed light brown sugar, and then 1/2 cup of regular or white sugar. Cream this up, turn it on. I'm using a handy dandy hand mixer today. Handy dandy. Make sure that it gets nice and light and fluffy. Usually when you're using light brown sugar, it won't get really fluffy, but because this is a combination, it actually will. And then stop your mixer and add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Beat in the vanilla extract and then add the eggs one at a time. You always want to add 1 egg, beating to incorporate after each egg. Recipes call to do that because it just makes it easier for it to fully incorporate before you add the next egg. You certainly could add all the eggs at once, but it won't be as good. And now it's time to add the dry ingredients. Just add your flour, add it all at once, and then start very slowly to beat it. You don't want it to go flying everywhere, which it's gonna wanna do if you turn your beater on too high, and then just beat it until everything is combined. And at that point, it's time to add your mix-ins. And you'll see what I mean. Remove the beaters and just make sure you get all the dough out of them. And now for the fun part. This is where you get to be creative. You could do what I'm doing today, chocolate chips and pecans, or you could do rum-soaked raisins and cashews, peanut butter and cherry. If you're using the peanut butter, you add it with the butter. Oat, chocolate chip and toffee chips, oat, coconut, and lime. And those are just some of our favorite combinations, and you'll get all those recipes online. But today, a more classic combination of chocolate chips, 2 cups, which is 1 whole bag of the chocolate chips, and 1 cup of toasted chopped pecan. Chippy and nutty. Chippy nutty. The dough should be soft enough that you can easily stir these mix-ins in. And then stir them in, and then all that's left to do is scoop and bake. Scoop onto parchment-lined baking sheet. You can either use 2 tablespoons or just use a scoop if you have one. It's about 2 tablespoons per cookie. And these are gonna bake up into sort of like a puffy, cakey cookie as opposed to sort of a flat, crunchy cookie. So they're not gonna spread too much, so you can put about 8 on each baking sheet. If you wanted to, you could shape them like this and then throw them all into a resealable freezer bag and put them in the freezer, and then whenever you want fresh cookies, you can just take them out and bake them off. Bake the cookies at 350 degrees, rotating the sheets top to bottom and back to front, about halfway through, 12 to 14 minutes. So once they're baked, you just want to slide them off the baking sheet on the parchment paper onto a cooling rack and let them cool. And if you can resist eating them until they're completely cool, you're a better person than I am. Yum. This cookie has got it going on. And you're gonna have it going on if you make these cookies. Vary it up however you like, and if you make new variations, write us in at Facebook and tell us what you did. Send us pictures, send us variations, and maybe one of these days I'll make your recipe.